Hi guys, so in this lecture we're going to look at XS3 code, how to convert to and from XS3, knowing how it works, and learning the binary conversion. Okay, so let's get to work. XS3 code is very identical to binary coded decimal. Remember what we said about BCD? That if we have a number in base 10 and we want to convert to BCD, we take each individual bit and assign it a 4-bit value. So one will become, the first place will be 1, and we'll change this to the binary equivalent of 1, which will be 0001. And the next digit 2, change it to the binary equivalent of 2, which will be 0010. So this is the BCD equivalent of 12 in base 10. XS3, on the other hand, is very identical, but as the name implies, it is excess by 3, which means that whatever number you have in decimal, you're going to convert it to BCD, then add 3 to each bit, which kind of sounds like a lot, but there's a simpler way to go about it. Remember, before we started working in BCD, we wrote down our binary and decimal equivalent table. So we're going to do that now, but for XS3. So we'll start with our decimal. Start our decimal digits. And then we'll write the XS3 equivalent. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if we're to convert 0 to binary, it will be, remember we're working with 4 bits, so we need to make sure it's going to be 4. It will be 0, 0, 0, 0. But now that we're working with XS3, XS3 is the number in BCD plus 3. I remember 3 in base 2 is 0011. So whatever number we would normally have in binary, we're going to add 0011 to this. So that means 0 is actually going to be 0011. And since 1 would be 1 plus this, then we can continue the binary process from here. So 1 would be 0100, 2 would be 0101, 3 would be 0110, 4 would be 0111, 5 would be 1000, 6 would be 1001, 7 would be 1010, 8 would be 1011, and 9 would be 1100. So that's exactly how it is. Once you're able to get this XS3 table of a decimal equivalent, then converting to and from decimal to XS3 is definitely not going to be a problem at all. So let's try our hands at a couple. If we're to convert 37 in base 10 to XS3 code, remember we did the same thing. You look at 3 in the XS3 equivalent table. So that's going to be 0110. And then we look at 7, which will be 1010. So that's 1010 in XS3 code. Okay? We can do this for bigger numbers. 4, 3, 2, 3, right? We pick each digits. So 4 is going to be 0111. Okay? 3 is going to be 0110. 2 is going to be 0101. And 3 again is going to be 0110 in XS3 code. So that's literally how to convert from decimal to XS3 code. So now if we're given the converse, given a binary string of numbers like this and asked to convert it to XS3, let's see what that's going to look like. Okay? How we're going to go about a question like that. So let's say we're given a number like 110, 1000, and we're told this is in XS3 code. Okay, so we're to inform that this is an XS3 code. How do we convert from this to its decimal equivalent? You know, the first thing we have to do is to make sure that this is a perfect multiple of 4. Okay, because for BCD and XS3 code, they're unweighted codes, which sort of means that in this kind of unweighted codes, which means we expect a perfect multiple of 4. So we count 4 from behind. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4. 1, 2, 3. So these are 3 numbers, and we're going to pad this with a leading 0 to make sure that we have a perfect multiple of 4. Okay, so once we do that, we can take this back to the XS-3 table, okay? So 0110 is 3 on the XS-3 table. 100 on the XS-3 table is 5. So that means this is the same as 35 in base 10, okay? But there's another way to go about this if you don't have the time to draw an XS-3 table. You can convert this exactly to binary, exactly from a binary to decimal. So although we're given this number in XS-3, we can say, okay, imagine this is a binary number, okay? And we're to convert this to, imagine this is a BCD number, and we're to convert this to decimal, okay? So that's an assumption you can use to change from XS-3 to BCD. So 0110 is going to be number 6 in decimal, and 100 is going to be number 8 in decimal. So this is going to be number 8. This is going to be 68 in BCD, right? But remember that XS-3 is excess by 3, right? We're literally adding 3. So we have to do 6 minus 3, and we also have to do 8 minus 3. So this is going to give us 3, and this is going to give us 5. So this is the same as 35 in base 10. It's exactly the same as the 35 we got here when we were dealing with straight from the XS-3 table. So that's all there is to solving with XS-3 code. It's almost the same format as taking the binary coded decimal, okay? You can draw your XS-3 equivalents on a table before this, right? So you can easily make the conversion, or you can treat it as you're treating BCD and make the subtraction later, okay? So it's important to note now that the forbidden binary strings are going to be different from XS-3 than they were for BCD. All right, so let's explain that. Remember, from BCD we had numbers from 0 to 9 since we were dealing with single digits. 9 in BCD, that's the decimal equivalent. It's going to be 1001, right? Which means everything from this down to 1111 is not permitted, was an illegal digit, okay? But in XS-3, on the other hand, they are still going to be forbidden digits, but now it's not just going to be from 0 to 9. It's going to be from whatever, from this down to 0, and from this up to 1111, 0000. So that's literally how it's done. So the forbidden decimals in XS-3. So the forbidden decimals in XS-3 are going to start from this. So 0000, although permitted in BCD for 0, is not allowed in XS-3, since 0 to XS-3 is going to be 0 plus 3, which gave us this, right? So this is not permitted, this is not permitted, and this is not permitted. But from 1 upwards is allowed, right? So moving on from this, 1101 is not permitted, 1110 is not permitted. Same goes for 1111. So that's all there is to working with XS-3 code. You literally have to add x is an excess of 3, right? So add 3 towards to each digit you're working with, then concatenate them together. If you're converting from a binary string to XS-3 code, you check from behind, from the least significant digits, to make sure you have a multiple of 4. If not, you can add leading zeros in front of it to make sure your calculations are done simply. Then you convert with your table, or you work with the BCD and subtract 3 afterwards, okay? So that's all there is for XS-3 code. Thanks for watching. We'll continue looking at binary codes such as gray code and XS-3 gray in the next videos, all right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.